Hello, welcome to the Ready, Set, Grow podcast, where we like to showcase startups and early stage companies, as well as stories from interesting people in the agriculture and food industry. Today, we're here with RHA co-founder Joe Dales and Deveron UAS CEO David MacMillan. David, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm an entrepreneur based in Toronto and helped start Deveron about 5 years ago now. And we're building a leader in agriculture data collection and analysis that covers most of the provinces of Canada and a good part of the US Midwest. We trade on the Canadian Securities Exchange. So we're a little public company. I guess a bit of a different route than a lot of private companies go and in their sort of funding journey. And yeah, just really happy to be here and catch up with you guys and talk about all the innovation and digitization that's happening across the great industry of farming.
Would you be able to give us a brief overview on some of the products and services you guys offer at Deveron?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of focused on I guess like two main business lines. The first is data collection. So most people that are familiar with agriculture technology have obviously heard about everything that's happening in the satellite space. We've kind of gone at a higher resolution to what I say is sort of a higher fidelity. So we're focused on using drones is one main data collection product that we provide farmers, as well as soil sampling. So across Canada and the US, we have a network of people that provide a turnkey offering for on-demand data collection. So you can imagine any farmer or ag retailer or anyone else in the agribusiness world that wakes up on a Monday morning and realizes, oh, I forgot to soil sample that field, or I have 50,000 acres that I need to get done over a period of 6 weeks. They can call us, and one turnkey solution, we handle all the logistics, organize all the information, and we get the data back to them as they need. So that's one great part of our business, and we've seen a lot of growth in that sphere of things over the last, especially 12 months. And on the other side is I guess, a more bespoke data insights division. So it's a highly agronomic data and analysis focused business line where we're looking at all the variability that exists in every single farm across North America. And it's sort of this idea that, every farm is different as well. Soil types are different and what rotation people are on is different. And trying to look at like the unbiased indicators of what makes, yield what it is and how can farmers, really at the end of the day, increase their yields and reduce their operating costs and, ultimately impacting a positive farm outcome. So that group's got some data science mixed in with folks that have spent a long time in ag retail, understanding what farmers need, and we're looking at, although it's still today very customizable to everyone's specific farm operation. We've done a lot of work on productizing that business, so we're starting to try to create standard offerings that farmers everywhere, to some extent, can find valuable. And ultimately, those are layered in with you can't do good agronomic analysis without good soil sampling and testing. So our two business lines kind of go hand in hand, and we find folks that use both have the highest ROI. So if they're doing good soil sampling and maybe they're looking at some in-season imagery, they're also doing good yield analysis, good variable rate seeding and spraying and all that good jazz. So slowly working on creating that ecosystem that is sort of a one-stop place for farmers and folks in the ag world to come and say, I want to improve my operations. I'm not exactly sure where to start. And we offer that full suite of solutions to sort of help consult on that process.
Dave, you've been running a very exciting startup. And what I find really interesting is how you financed its startup and its growth using the public markets. Can you tell that story? I think it's very unique and innovative in the agriculture space.
Yeah, so definitely my path is untraditional in terms of I think what everybody hears about entrepreneurs doing, and it's one side is the rag to riches Silicon Valley, go down and pitch an idea and raise money privately. The other is angel investing, which is still as a private endeavor. what we did is we are big believers in technology companies in Canada. My previous to starting Deveron, I worked on Bay Street raising money for junior mining companies. So again, highly speculative lottery ticket type exercises where you're trying to find a new gold deposit in Colombia, for example. And that process illuminated to me something very similar to building technology companies, which is, hey, there's this big kind of come to Jesus moment of a moonshot where if we're right, there's going to be lots of upside. But it's the success percentage is maybe not as high as, starting a hot dog vending business at a state fair. So I guess through that, the sort of years I spent raising capital in the mining world, it just became this idea to me of, well, why couldn't we use this platform to raise capital in Canada? I guess I'm loosely a proud Canadian who believes that we don't have to leave this country also to finance great business ideas and build things. So I've always encouraged entrepreneurs that there's lots of avenues to raise money. I think people probably are said they hear public markets is really difficult or costly, but there is a really vibrant scene of people in this country that will finance ideas, and the sort of idea that there's a realization of value every day because it has a stock quote can be positive and it can be negative when when your stakeholders are constantly getting a quote for something that sometimes is illiquid. That's also can be frustrating. But yeah, it's been good for us. We've raised over $6.5 million over the last kind of 4 years to build our business, and many of the investors that participated in that first round are still investors today and are participated in our last round. So it's still the same idea of in a private company you're building value, and publicly we are too. You just have the opportunity, to sell your shares if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's terrific. Can you give us a snapshot of where the business is today, and where are you going to be in kind of that vision of 3 to 5 years from now?
Sure, and it'll probably change a year from now, but I'll do my best. When we started the company, it was explicitly to build a network of drone pilots that were on demand for agriculture. After our first year in business, we realized that a lot of our customers said, hey, what should we do next with this data? Any ideas? And that was the first realization I had as an entrepreneur, that one, how valuable is it to listen to your users? And two, your roadmap will constantly change to your customer needs. And I think being open to that and listening to them is a really good way to progress your strategy. So that's led us to where we are today, which was, okay, we have this network of people that are able to get out to farms at a cost-effective and reliable way. So what else could they be doing? So, started with drones, and now we've added soil sampling. We actually do weather station installs and other custom projects where you can imagine it's just difficult for certain people to cover the geographic and logistic challenges that agriculture provides. Are we going to get into last mile delivery? I don't know, but potentially there's times when someone forgets to drop a seed bag off at a customer's farm, and maybe our guys are passing through and can do that. So I think that's one avenue where we're just trying to add more products and services to our data collection network. On the other side, being focused on insights, I think as we're getting more data, we're starting to learn faster, and we're starting to build different algorithms that look at different types of data science. Obviously, there's millions of papers being written about the potential for artificial intelligence and machine learning that I think we're not pretending to be naive to, but we're also trying to still go back to, well, what are our customers asking for, and what are the true pain points that they need solved? And as we develop those, it'll continue to, I guess, set the agenda of what we specifically focus on. But if I see where we are today and where we would be, 3 years out, it's continue to try to double our network that we cover. So expand into more states and more provinces, and extend into more counties within those states and provinces. And then really start to scale the productization again of our insights group. So create web tools that people are able to interact with without necessarily always having to have a human hand hold you. And accelerate innovation so that more and more people can experience our products again without having to go through traditional email or phone call systems. So focusing on North America and doing that a little bit better. And Joe, as you told me many years ago when I first started, get a customer, keep them, get another one, keep them, keep her. So we're just trying to do that every year.
Pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, so we get to work with a lot of small companies and people starting their own businesses. So do you have any advice you'd want to give sort of entrepreneurs starting out?
Do it. Just do it. Don't think. Get going. That I think that's really the thing. It's like, you know, be ready for hard days because there'll be lots of them. But there's also so many amazing days, and it truly is a reward to be able to be an entrepreneur, like taking a leap to just kind of do your own thing and set your own hypothesis about what you're trying to solve. Is a really great feeling. And I think there's so many people in this country that have amazing ideas that they're probably multi-million-dollar businesses. And I think they always think, well, I don't know how to write a business plan or do whatever. And I mean, I'm a perfect example of it. I am in an agriculture business, and yeah, sure, I've been to farms before in my life, but I grew up in Toronto. And I think a natural feeling for humans would be, well, I'm not a systems expert, so how could I possibly do it? And I think in business, you find that it's just you learn as you go, and you learn more and more as you go. And the amount of information I have in my head about farming today versus 5 years ago is, staggering to the point I never thought I would know this much about it. And so I would use myself as an example that if you get going and you get trying, you'll start figuring things out. And you might learn after 2 months, like, oh, that idea is not that great. But failure or attempting to fail is really the best way to learn if you're onto something. And you can't do that if you don't do it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that information. Before we head out, is there anything else you want our viewers to know about?
I guess, like, selfishly from our company, we're really proud about what we've been up to, and it's an interesting, I guess, experiment into you start locally and you get to know your local market. And we just started expanding into other places because we started to see our customers have value. And I think, like, if I were to leave any piece of advice also for folks is, really spend that time listening to your customers. And it's the best asset you could have. Someone who's willing to give you advice or feedback on something. Get out there and listen to them. It doesn't matter how great your prototype is or the idea you have. It's getting something into market and working is like the hardest thing ever. And then, but as it starts, trust your instincts and try to multiply it in ways that you can. And I think focusing on that and not necessarily always focusing on like, it's funny that the companies that get headlines are the ones that raise the most money. And I've always been surprised of why that's happened. I guess it's a bit of the CNN effect of it grabs a headline when someone raises $100 million. But there's so much ingenuity and opportunity happening in entrepreneurship, and it's just it's really great. We're a small microcosm of that happening, but I think it's great, and I think more and more Canadians should be obliged to do it. And with COVID going on right now, we might see lots of new companies pop up as people say, hey, now's the chance. Like, I'm kind of working at home, and maybe I have an opportunity to do it. So I guess that's one potential positive thing that comes out of the situation that we're in the world. And I think the other thing which you folks at the accelerator do so well is you talk about the value of networking and the value of reaching out to a network and helping people before asking for help. It's something that I've seen through both of you over the years of just a kind of unnecessary thanks of just helping people that are on this journey. And I think that's one thing we would leave behind too. Like, anyone who wants to exchange ideas, like, it's not a competitive threat. Let's talk. And who was building a business in this country, like there's a huge community of people that are out there to help and support you. And you'd be surprised. Anyone who's gone through it is happy to talk about it. And sometimes in your days where you're wondering how the heck do you ever build yourself out of a hole you're in, there's people there that have been through it and can give you perspective. So those are some of the things I guess I would take away from my journey and share with anybody that's listening to these podcasts that you guys are putting together. Is it's hard, but it's easier if you network and spend time getting to know everyone else who's going through the same challenges as you. And it's really rewarding to share that feedback.
Thank you.
Well, we've always been, impressed by your drive and your leadership, and I'm very proud of, how well you've learned and adapted and networked. And I'm really excited about the future of Deveron. I think you've got lots of momentum now. Your team is building out nicely, and I follow the stock every day, online, and I know it's only going to do one thing. So, really proud of you, and congrats on all your progress and success, and excited to see, where you are in 3 and 5 and 10 years down the road.
Oh, thanks. That's really nice of you to say, Joe. And it is a funny thing to think about, actually. Like, you watched Dragon's Den and you see all these great ideas, and it's like, oh, I really wish I was Kevin O'Leary and I could even write a $50 check towards that company. With a public company, anyone can be an owner of it, and that is kind of a cool thing, and something that I take very seriously. Like, as a CEO, you're out there raising money from stakeholders, and then everyone can be a stakeholder, and it's half my job is protection of capital to make sure that we're making smart decisions to give people an opportunity, to grow their investments. And it's great. It's cool.
Well, and you have a pretty special board and group of advisors too. You should let people know that it's just not David.
Yeah, and I think that's probably another good takeaway, that any young company, to leverage experience and expertise, is to go out and find a good board of people that generally identify with, your morals and values of business that you're trying to go. And recently a new round of investors that we had was led by Bill Linton, who used to be the chief financial officer of Rogers Communication, and is on the board of the stock exchange here in Toronto, as well as Empire, which owns Sobeys. And it's a testament to, like, these people who, are a later stage of their life, are still dedicated entrepreneurs and want to provide guidance to companies. And we've got a number of folks that have spent a lot of time in agriculture on our advisory board, as well as technology leaders, who are all giving perspective and saying, hey, over 30 or 40 years of my career, this are a few things I learned. So, you still need to make some of the mistakes yourself, but if we can take away half of them, maybe we'll accelerate your development. And that's been one of the best things I've been able to learn. And it's kind of it's a unique way for a startup as well, that has no money and no resources and no information, is you go out and find some like-minded business people and you say, I'm trying to build this amazing thing. I need your help. Would you be willing to help me? And I don't have anything to pay you.
Yeah.
How can our listeners connect with you online, Dave?
So corporately, we've got a Deveron Twitter and LinkedIn account, and I think we've been doing a lot of work on Facebook as well. So at Deveron UAS of various handles. For me personally, phone at the office, or email DMacMillan, MacMillan at DeveronUAS.com. Any entrepreneurs that are looking to share stories, connect, understand public markets, anything I could ever do to help, I'm here to kind of do it all. So those are probably the best ways to get in touch with us directly.
Thank you. And I'd just like to thank our listeners for tuning in to the Ready, Set, Grow podcast. And thanks again, David, for joining us and sharing about Deveron UAS with us.
Thanks, Michael. I really appreciate you organizing it. And Joe, always good to see you.